we fall for the trick because we're afraid that we can't have as good a life as we live without it. For some, it's the government that has become to be trusted above God because we're hoping that they can finally fill our heart's desire. We're afraid not to have it. Others can no longer see as dangerous the sexual promiscuity that fills our culture and our airwaves because that has become what life is about, meeting our pleasures and never being denied. After all, did God really say something so outdated, so leave it to beaverish, that we should only have that kind of stuff with one person for a lifetime? What kind of life is that? Come on, God. But if you look deeply, there's no real argument about what God said. There's just sneering that we don't like it and we don't consider it good. The devil brings about an atmosphere change, and if we are not careful and on guard, he will bring about a change of heart. Adam and Eve were not careful, and their hearts were changed. They knew what God had said, but they didn't take God at his word. It's very important to note, Satan did not come onto the scene and say, the way I am going to wreak destruction on the human race and change it forever is to deny the existence of God. No, he allows us to believe in God. As a matter of fact, still today, vast majority of people claim belief in some sort of God. He doesn't challenge our belief in the existence of God. He gets us to sneer at what God says. He doesn't challenge his holiness. He doesn't challenge God's power. He challenges his goodness. And he says, don't take him at his word because he isn't on your side. Take life into your own hands. That lie is in your heart. That lie is in my heart. And this is how it manifests itself. Let's use for an example today the topic of money. And I'm going to use that as an example specifically today because I know we don't want to hear about money when we're in church. And so that's exactly why I'm going to talk about it. But don't tune me out. I want you to ask yourself this. Why is it that in our defensiveness or our pride about the topic, we don't generally argue the facts of what God has said about money? Instead, we sneer. God wants me to do what? Give away 10% of it? Maybe even more? He wants me to trust him in this economy? He wants me to go without some things that I think I need? Ha! The truth is that if that's what God has really said, many, dare I say most of us in here, don't even come close to that kind of obedience. And we have justified it. And if we are challenged too vigorously on it, we will just pick up and leave. And I want to ask why. Why is that? To date, in my life, I have never had anyone who calls themselves a Christian put forth to me an argument against what God says about the way we treat our money. Because we know he cares a great deal. And it's not because he needs our money, by the way. He doesn't need it. And it's not because there won't be a Christian church on earth of believers if churches like this don't get our money. That's not what this is about at all. So don't misunderstand me. The reason he talks about it is this. The reason he talks about it is this. What we believe about it says something about what's on our hearts. It says if we believe that God is God and we are not, and we all know that the issue is not that God hasn't said certain things about our money. And trust me when I tell you this, the issue is not that the church or pastors talk too much about money. The issue is we don't want to hear about it ever, at all. Because Satan has gotten us to believe and to sneer that if we do what God says to do with our money, our lives just won't be as good. He changes the atmosphere. He makes us afraid. He makes us forget. He makes us forget that you will not ever be able to turn on the news in your lifetime and find out that a world crisis has broken out because the people of a nation were doing too much in the way of serving and sacrificing for one another. Nor will you ever find a way to see that somebody is successful in fitting everything that they've ever accumulated in life into that tiny little casket with them after they die. He gets us to believe that God isn't good. He doesn't argue the facts. You can replace everything I just said, by the way, with money by using sex or power or status or activities, especially parents, our kids' activities. Because this is really about anything that Satan uses to get us to believe that life just isn't going to be good if we don't have them. And so ask yourself today, do I really believe in the goodness of God? Do I believe that God is for me and not against me? Does he know what's best for me? But as you answer that question to yourself, know that there is a serious implication for your life if you answer yes. It means that you must start to live or keep on living with even greater fervor as though God is God and you are not. That's what God wanted Adam and Eve to do at the dawn of creation. You know, children ask this all the time in Sunday school. Well, if he wants us to follow and be so good in following him, why did he allow that serpent there in the garden in the first place? It's because he didn't create robots. And he wants real obedience from us.